All right, we're back to the euro dollar here on the monthly chart. Certainly, I think we can all say that there is a bottom in the monthly. At least we can draw our first higher high swing low. Not higher high on edge, but just close down. We finally got that first. Well, this would be the second close up. So if you're an Elliott-tician, and this happens to be by your sheer luck of chance that you're on this wave count right now, then certainly to be right here in the pattern, in the projection of the first wave, if this is wave 0 down here on the monthly, then this would be wave 1 here, and this with 2 would be the pullback. So for the first time, we can place this here and project to the next leg. So that's in place on the monthly. Now if we go to the next time frame out, it gets a little messier, but we'll scooch this down and we'll hang it off the highest close in here. So this was our first projection on the walk up, and all these black lines are 100 pips. So we're going to risk 100 pips on this. This is kind of like trying to make 300 pips, you got to risk 100. So you probably want to trade maybe a mini or something. So you're not going to, like, I don't know how rich you are, right? So it depends how rich you are, I think. Last I checked, it seems to be that's always the contention. How much money do you consider money, right? So if it's just like, for you, $100 for lunch, loading up on this thing. Now, let me just copy this line, and let me just make it black to make it just kind of a little less involved and more the color of the wicks. So let me hang it off of this one, and then we can build the structure out of the black. Color is pretty important, I think, when you're doing these things. If you want to create your own flow channel of price, you find the highest close here, and you'd hang this to the bottom swing to this. Now this is our projection up, and then we're going to find where that lands. We're backward engineer this into this wick. So obviously, when we get to here, sellers are coming in, but that's $1.18. But if you were on the weekly chart this month, you would have had the ultimate entry, which was the painfully obvious top becoming a bottom on weekly close, if you have the patience, right? Not to say that inside of here is a whole story of drama, that if you were trying to ride this puppy and you got all the way to here, say you got in this thing. So you say you trade with 100 pip stops. So you got in here with a 100 pip stop. They did not stop you out. You got in here at this top with a 100 pip stop. They stopped you out. So you had to have a 200 pip stop on that to ride a 500 pip wick. And inside of that, the cruel story is that you had to endure. In other words, if you got in here, this would have been your entry, obviously. Going back to this pivot here, and you're hanging off of this on the daily. And then you're going to want to steepen this chart out a little bit. So you were projecting a mere 100 pips off of that, and if you went for the, if you hung your channel off of this one back here, I guess I'll just start over. Now that you switch time frame like that, it's a whole different situation. Certainly this is lower risk getting here at this top and having orders piled up in here, but they did cream your face off. That is the part where, had you bought that double top, if you didn't have tight stops in there. But interestingly, if you waited long enough for this double top to become this mini top, come back underwater, come back to this presupposing you haven't blown up your account by this time. And if you had the, you can see that this congestion zone here happens off of this low. So that price, if you drill down, you're within about 5 pips. If you queue that up on close only, and that's the daily out of one broker. Of course, depends where your broker's out of. Some brokers literally close. Of course, I'm hoping they timestamp it even every time. And then you got this major support down here, but you never got filled on that order. You would have had to have your order in, I would call it the wick window here. So that would have been a great fill to have everything from here to here with whatever you can afford stop-wise. If you switch to the put in the 100 pip grid, you can see that here with a 50 pip stop, you survived it. So it's better to stack in multiple orders with a 50 pip stop and just really spend the time to break down every order like this. Here we go. You could even do a logarithmic scale. Now I built the script like this. Haven't actually coded it, but it looks like this. So when you lay it out, it's logarithmic, just like Fibonacci is kind of logarithmic. You keep adding that one thing, but if you can imagine out in the space, nobody would think of putting an order down here, but the deeper it goes, the deeper your order goes. So when you condense this down, you get the effect that you're looking into the horizon of price. And the fair value, you want to trade those breakouts out of that fair value thing. So definitely we're buyers here. I am a buyer here. If we can come back another 100 pips deep, but I'll just go one more level into the 4 hour, and this way I can place all the orders for tomorrow without even blinking an eye. Obviously, I'm going to put a buy order here on this internal structure, and there's nothing you can do about it. I mean, if they stop you out, there's nothing you can do about it. You just have a tight enough stop, and then you have scalps in here. So you're going to buy here, and I would say put all scalps in first, risk like whatever you can handle, whatever you think, but what do we think is going to happen when the price comes down there? If there's going to be a fight, there's going to be a big battle, like, in other words, these battle zones here, these always are battle zones. Look at this fight here. Double top, there's that wick window, so these are always... you have to go into a tactical situation of range trading. When you see this, range trades are always good. They're always good, and as long as you're not risking a lot on range trade, you're trading range trade and you're trend trade. I mean, you have to wear both hats to really make a living and make like 300% a year, right? If you want to make, and it's totally possible. A lot of people, no, right? No, it totally is, because if you connect this. This tells you already your orders should be down here, and if they don't get filled in the next 3 days, it deletes, right? You can do like a 1 week delete if you can't get to your platform. And certainly all day long, or for at least 12 hours, I'm going to have, say, all these last for 12 hours. Or they all last for 4 hours. If it's a scary open, I'd say wait for the open to put these orders in. So Sunday night, tomorrow night, when the market opens, the broker lets you put pendings in. So you can drop your whole trade plan on open and just walk away. Like, okay, next 4 hours, if this thing can drop 200 pips in 4 hours, I want to buy for a 50 pip bounce. I think that's like completely acceptable strategy without regard to what moving averages are telling you or whatever the news is, because just in the sheerest blink of an eye, like certainly these trades would get blown out if you were buying the Swiss franc on this strategy, but you didn't even have a chance to, you place all those orders with a stop, you've already accepted the risk up front, hopefully, right? So a little slippage on that one maybe, but of course, hopefully you've diversified enough that you don't just trade one currency pair. If you were doing the euro against the, I was watching the euro that day, because usually they run a mirror image, and when it depegged like that, the euro kind of took it a little bit more liquidity, had more liquidity, so it didn't look so choppy, scary. But the euro coming back to the congestion zone is obviously the scalp areas, and these would all be tickets, in my opinion. Of course, they're all buy limits, and on the sell side, it's going to look just like the upside down version of that. So I'm going to pick all the previous triangles, which this is the big one, and we popped up 100 pips into that window, and this to me is the next target for the bulls. They're going to come after this congestion zone, which this is a big key, and that's also a psychological level. I mean, $1.16. My God, if you've been holding this position and not blown up the account, imagine you got in here at this double bottom. So you got in down here and you're still alive. This is the top within the bottom. To me, this is the ultimate structural entry. This baby top within the bottom, of course, it poked through. But actually, anything that's a small zigzags mean more than a big move. Like the big move, forget about it. It just cleaned house. But when it hesitates, that to me is the big deal. So this double bottom here is now the big pivot. So definitely on the daily, set it, forget it, you're buying there. Whatever you can handle, but I wouldn't just buy one price. Like I said, I'd buy whatever you can afford, 15 pips apart, down to here maybe. Then no orders till you get down to here. But of course, you're gonna have to gauge it on the 4 hour. I think if you really want to save money and don't have the you don't think you can stick to a trade plan that lasts 3 days. I know I couldn't. I just can't take it. I mean, if I'm up 50 pips, I'm just getting out. I mean, I don't need all this. I'm not getting married to this thing. So I go for this kind of easy stuff here, a 1 hour chart, and here's all my buy orders. I can see that makes sense. In fact, I feel safe for just loading them on the 1 hour. And I can see more structure on the 1 hour. And if I do 100 pips a day, which is this, I can see more what's possible. So yeah, no brainer. I'm putting orders below the 1100 water table for sure. And if they don't get filled, then I have to think about having orders here at the first entry, and then I can't put any orders until here. So I have to let it go into free fall or just watch the momentum. I mean, if this ends up being the best price and we pause there, and if I connect these bottoms and I get like kind of a, say we get down to mid-level here, which there is a, if I went to the half hour, there's a notch here, so there's a baby top there on the half hour right here. This is the little notch resting, and this was the top that became the bottom of the half hour. So if you slice it thinner than a half an hour, of course at this rate here though, you're putting in more high res orders, you're spending more time, it's worth it. I mean, the market's going to come down here, you're definitely looking to buy here and get out here, or conservatively get out here on one ticket, but you're just putting a plethora of orders in there. I mean, but the idea is to leave a gap. You don't want to buy a linear grid all the way down. You want to buy a logical grid based on previous. See this baby top become a bottom. There's another order placement, at least for a scalp bounce. And you have to sit back and let it happen. It's like dominoes. Unfortunately, if you're bullish or bearish, you're jumping the gun. So you can connect these beautifully on the half hour. This is certainly the way to trade. If you want to draw these make sense pivot-wise, and they make sense in terms of the breadth of the market. So we can all see that, and then we would take this, move it over, and we're looking for our entries down here. I mean, those are just great places to even trade the swing trade of it. But some of those could be scalps. So I'm going to place all my orders in, and it's going to take me about, let's say half hour. I'm going to start off with scalps. I'm going to place all scalps first at every one of these handles. Then I'm going to come back with risk to ratios that go from 15, 20, 30, 40 pips risk to make double your money or triple your money. And some of those, now if you step back and let the whole thing unfold, this is a buy limit strategy only. You could either have that on one broker or get another broker to do the sell side, or put them both on the same platform. Of course, some people don't. I psychologically was not able to think that I was long and short at the same time. So maybe different brokers, but that's my strategy.